Hey, everybody, welcome back to Allison Unfiltered. I have an incredible guest today. Her name is Jamie Simonak. And it's interesting how we met. Well, go ahead and say hi, Jamie. You
Hi,
can wave
everybody.
hi.
I'm Jamie Simmons. Yes.
So Jamie and I met because I reached out to a friend of mine who I knew, we've talked a lot about drug addiction and things like that on here. And I reached out to a friend of mine and I said, I know you're struggling with your daughter. Is there any way you would come on and talk about like the other side of it, the parental side of it, and what that does to affect you? And she's like, I'm going to think about that and I'm going to pray about it. But I have someone that I think you should talk to that has a really incredible story. So this is how she hooked me up with you, Jamie, and I'm so excited for you to get to share your story. Um, One of the things that I found on your Facebook is you were talking about mental health awareness and suicide awareness, um, and that was something that you struggled with, and you were talking about the story about Twitch and things like that. And so I just want to hear, we both have a common ground from Xyngular. You're in the business, I'm in the business, and you've had an incredible weight loss story as well. So I'll let you share a little bit about that. And then let's talk about, one of the things that I say all the time is you have two choices every day. You can wake up and you can be a survivor of everything that's happened to you, or you can be a victim of everything that's happened to you. And Jamie has an incredible story of survival. So the point of all of this is for you guys to see that no matter where you come from, no matter how far down on the bottom you feel, there is a way up and there is the light. And Jamie, just tell me a little bit about your Xyngular journey real quick, and then let's get into the nitty gritty
I
hard
just want to let
stuff.
you know,
I'm going to
while
hand you
you
the
were
floor.
speaking and talking about the light, the sun came up here in Arizona and it's shining in my window. It was rainy and cloudy, and we had a little bit of sun. And then you started talking about the light and the journey and being no longer a victim. And the light just got brighter and brighter. And I was like, well, praise the Lord. Ah,
All right, Jamie, I'm going to hand the floor over to you. Tell us a little bit about your Xyngular story and everything else that goes along with it.
Well, when I first was introduced to Xyngular, I was in a transformation page where I was looking at other people's before and after pictures, and I was scrolling through looking for somebody that was around my age because I know after 40 it's harder to lose weight. So I found a woman that was talking about, hot flashes, and I was like, oh, okay, let me talk to her. And
Right?
getting the information, I'm like, I can relate to her. And so after
Yeah.
getting the information, I've been in the company for 3 years now. It's been amazing for me. I had lost 100 pounds previously and was on the verge of gaining it back again when I found this company. So I've lost another 100 pounds with this company and not on
Wow.
the verge of of gaining it back. And I have
Wow.
28 pounds to go, and very,
Wow.
very blessed and excited to be able to help as many people as possible do what we do.
Yeah, listen, I want to be a part of cheering you on for that last 28 pounds because that's
Thanks.
that's a that's a big deal, girl. That last
Yeah,
20
I
is the
know.
hardest to get off.
I'm okay with that. You know what? I used to be so mad when I'd hear people say, "Oh, I just have 10 or 15 pounds to lose." Shut up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
I'm in triple
exactly.
digits right now. You just hush.
Exactly. Exactly. I get it. I get it. Well, listen, it feels good to feel good, right? That's the
Oh
main
yeah.
thing with English, just to be healthy and get your body healthy. I tell everybody all the time, the heavier the baggage, the shorter the trip,
Yeah.
and losing weight is hard and being overweight is hard. You got to choose your hard, you know.
Tell me about
There's
it.
there's there's nothing easy, right? So anyway, I just I was taken back by something that you said on a Facebook Live that you talked about with the things that you've struggled with mental health and suicide, and you had said that, did I hear it right, that you said you've thought about it 5 times?
Oh,
That it
I've
was like,
attempted suicide 5 times. Yeah.
oh
I
shit.
actually, So I'm a recovering addict, and I used to use drugs intravenously, speed, so I could stay up. Like I
You know
needed
what's
anything to
crazy?
keep me alive.
That's the one thing that I never did was touch a needle. That I did
Yeah,
everything
I
else,
was.
but that's the one thing I
Neither did
never
I.
did.
I had somebody else do it for me. I was too scared of
Oh
needles.
yeah, that would have totally been me.
Girl,
That would have
if
totally
there's
been
a
me.
will, there's a way, And I just, I just was like, in my mind, I thought, oh, I'm going back to college. I need to be able to stay up all night to study for these exams. I know I'll do speed. And it started out doing pills, and then someone mentioned, oh, well, if you shoot it up, it'll get to you faster. And I'm like, okay, let's do that. And so,
Mm.
yeah, it sounded like a great idea. Well, if you're using drugs, of course, that's a great idea. And when I got clean and got off the drugs, that's when all the emotions hit you and you're raw. And so that was the last suicide attempt. I was actually clean.
Wow. Wow.
Yep.
I feel like there's so much stuff, that happens in our childhood that affects, just childhood trauma and things like that,
Oh yeah.
that affect us. I know that, I have to be careful what I say because there's family that watches this of mine. But I have been on the other side multiple times of seeing someone I love very much throw up charcoal in a hospital
Right.
and attempted suicide multiple times. And it's one of the scariest phone calls you'll ever get that they tell you what's happening and you don't live where they live and you have to, call the EMS in the town you live in to get in hold of the EMS in the town they live in to send
Wow.
somebody to your loved one's house, to beat down the door and get them to the hospital. It's scary. And so I've never been in a position mental health wise where I wanted to take my own life. I mean, I've been down and I've been on antidepressants and things like that, and I'm a recovering drug addict as well.
Hmm.
But I've never been there. Um, and I know that, one of the big stories in the news is Twitch, and everybody's like, oh, he seemed like he had this perfect life and he was famous
Ah.
and he was this. And you got Robin Williams too, that everybody was just floored.
Mm-hmm.
And I have kids that suffer from depression, and it's scary. I have one that, I used to walk up the stairs every day, and when I knew he was struggling, and I just said, dear God, please don't let me find him hanging in his room, that. And so as a mom, it's scary. As a loved one, it's scary. As a mom, it's scary.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to hear like your story of how you got there and
Mm.
how you overcame it. So I'm
Well,
going to
first
shut
of
up and I'm
all,
going to still sit back and let you tell your story.
well, first of
But
all, I
listen,
don't
I'm
think
real bad about interrupting, so I might say something, I might bring something to it, but
that's fine.
just letting
That's
you know.
fine.
That's why it's
You know what?
unfiltered, right?
Yeah, exactly. First of all, I don't think you ever overcome it. Because it's just always there. I feel like I've gotten better with the hole, I call it the black hole that I was going down. And it's interesting when you talked about the phone calls. That's how I got out of my suicide attempts. So I know I will never kill myself. I can say that with certainty. I know I will never kill myself. I will go through dark holes, dark times, sad times, bad days, and I know I will come out the other side and I will be okay, and the Lord has taken that desire to kill myself away from me. I will say that the last time I tried to kill myself, the only thing that brought me out of it is I was in the hospital and it was a DUI and they had tried to, they pumped my stomach and everything and they were there. The doctor was there. I had friends that were looking for me because they knew what I was doing when I was driving. They all found me. They came to the hospital. And that moment, I had a doctor come to me and he said, I have never seen my lobby filled with this many friends from anyone who has tried to hurt themselves. He's like, you have so much to live for. He's like, why would you do this to yourself? You have so much to live for. And I remember looking at this man thinking, you fool. What the hell do I care about my friends in the lobby? Like, I'm
Mm.
miserable. I am miserable. I'm hurt. I feel pain. I want the pain to go away. I want to die. And when you're depressed and when you're suicidal, it's blinders on like the horses have in those races, and you're looking at you because it's all I. Me, 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 me. I'm hurt. I'm miserable. I'm depressed. I'm in pain. I want the pain to end. How can we stop the pain? Oh, I know. I'll kill myself. And that's all we think about. Flash forward 28 days in the hospital, and I'm in this rehab, and they're detoxing me as well. And my mom was coming to visit. My brother was there. And the one thing my brother said to me, he said, why? When are you going to stop putting mom through this?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, Mom, I love my mother. I would never want to hurt my mother. So now my blinders are a little wider, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about what I must be putting her through because it was all about me. And that's when I knew I'll never do that again. And I thank God that happened because my mom passed away when I had 3 years clean. So she died in her sleep. And I am happy to say for 3 years, she had peace. No phone calls, 2:00 in the morning. Ma'am, your daughter tried to kill herself again. Ma'am, your daughter got another DUI. Ma'am. You know, like 3 years of peace, you know, and our relationship grew. We were closer. So when she passed away, there was like nothing there that I had to have a regret for. I can't even imagine the things that others may go through using and not coming out of that to the other side and then losing a loved one. I can't even imagine what that can feel like. But I know that she had some peace and our relationship was close. I will tell you though, I know the reason I started using drugs, like I can look now, hindsight's 2020, right? I was molested when I was a child from a babysitter from like 5 years old to maybe I was 10 years old. I don't know. I had a boyfriend rape me when I was in my early 20s. I was in domestic violence relationships, physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse for maybe 3 or 4 relationships. And then the drug use and then the binging with the food to suppress everything that you're going through because you know you shouldn't be in these relationships and you're miserable and you don't leave, you know, and it's just that cycle of domestic violence, you know. So having all that set the stage for the weight gain. I was my highest weight that was documented. I was 476 pounds. Who's happy? You know what I mean? Who don't want to kill themselves at almost 500 pounds? You know what I mean? So I can see where all that came from. And that self-hatred, the self-loathing, and then the depression. And I'm always the one, the chubby girl, always at the parties, happy, making everybody else laugh. I was a DJ. I worked on a radio station, for the love of God, you know, and I was on early in the morning, making everybody laugh and smile, you know, and then using drugs at night.
I want to make a point to that because I think that the mental health has so much to do with our physical health. And I would love for you to touch on that a little bit because what we're seeing is an epidemic in our world of obesity, and nobody's body shaming. But I have said this before and I'll say it again. You can't tell me when you're 300, 400, 250, you look in the mirror and go, damn, I look good. You can't tell me that that's what you really feel on the inside. And maybe there are the few, right? But I had someone, I posted something like that on my Facebook and she was like, oh, I was really thinking about you being my coach until you said something like that. And I'm like, why? Because it's the truth? Because I've been there? No. I tried to, and that's the thing is I've been there too, right? So it's not like I'm talking about something I don't know, I don't understand. So I think there's so much of it just struck a chord when you just said, you know, I ate to push the feelings down and I'm not, you know, you're not happy. You know, you're not happy at that weight.
No, I think people get that confused with self-love. Like I can love myself because I'm doing something to change it, not stay where I am and love myself. That's totally different because you can't. You can't. It's impossible.
Yes, and I think that's the best way I've ever heard. Like someone said to me one time, this is one of my best friends that said to me, and it clicked so much to me. And this is a little kind of a squirrel sometimes, but sometimes things just,
Okay.
you always ask God to bring you the right words, right?
Yes.
And I remember having a conversation with my brother and saying, I don't think you understand exactly what love is. And this comes in with the self-love and not body shaming yourself, but people don't understand that when you have a relationship built on, and this is even with yourself, right? When you have a relationship built on trust and security,
Mm.
the love comes naturally.
Yep.
Love is not the number one thing. I mean, I can love all the wrong people. Trust me, I have. I have loved the wrong people.
Yes.
I got two babies to prove that I've loved the wrong people, right?
Mm.
But I wouldn't have those babies if I didn't. But that's the thing. There was never security and there was never trust. So there was never really love, right?
Mm.
And so if you lie to yourself standing in the mirror, you're creating mistrust in yourself, and you don't have that security in yourself other than the lies. And you can't tell me that you're standing in the mirror saying, damn, I look good and I feel good at 100 pounds overweight. You can't. So we have an epidemic. It scares the crap out of me because it truly affects, and especially when you see these real big girls that are running around in crop tops because somebody told them that looked good, and it and it and it
Not a
and it
friend.
yeah, well, there's that, but the other side is, and nobody's body shaming, right? But the mental upset that you have to have in your mind to be able to convince yourself to go out looking like that, and being so disrespectful of yourself as a woman,
Yes.
that falls into that entire mental health aspect.
Yeah, absolutely.
So talk a little bit about that, about the mental health and you not being happy and being that just talk about that a little bit and where your feelings were. Some of this gets hard and I ask really hard questions, so
Oh, no,
sorry.
it's not hard. It's not hard at all. I'm sitting here thinking, wow, how profound. That's a really good question because here's what I remember. Hearing negative things all the time, over and over and over again. My father introducing me to friends. He was an alcoholic. This is my daughter, Jamie. Don't mind her. She's overweight because she only eats once a day, and that's all day long. Boyfriends,
Shut
fiancés.
your mouth.
Oh, no. Fiancés. You'll never find anybody as good as me if I leave you.
Oh God. Nobody's
gonna want you.
I'm gonna say this. It's gonna be real tacky. Nobody can make you do that like I do. I can't tell you how many times.
Or my favorite. No one's gonna want you. Why are you here? Why are you here right now?
Mm-hmm. And that's just a narcissist.
Yeah. And so for me to hear all that repeatedly over and over and over again, it took me a long time. And even now I struggle. People talk about, oh, just talk good to yourself in the mirror, say positive affirmations every day. You feel like a freaking idiot. But I know I need to do it because of how long the negative stuff was done and said to me.
Oh, yeah.
You don't think positive affirmation and mirror talks work? Listen to the crap that other people have said to you and how much of that you believe. How much of that do you believe?
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a supervisor tell me once, you start everything, but you don't finish anything. Do you know how hard it was for me to get these 200 freaking pounds off of me? Because I always kept hearing that in the back of my head. And he wasn't saying it to be mean, but he was telling me, basically, you need to be a finisher, not a quitter. You start everything. You always start full force, Jamie, but you haven't finished anything. And I was like, that has stuck with me over all these years. I got clean in 89. So he said this to me back in the late 80s. And it still sticks with me because that's something someone said that was negative. Look how it has implemented itself into my life, how I allowed it to. And you cannot tell me that self-talk and mirror talk does not work.
Well, and they say, I think it's for you to undo one negative thought, you have to think 11 positive thoughts for you to undo one. And if somebody's on here and that's not the right ratio, tell me and let me know. But I can tell you this. I remember one time a long time ago, my mom said something to me, and she said, I don't like it when you wear your hair up. And every time I put my hair up, I hear my mom saying that. And so I always question how I look when I wear my hair up, you know. And she'll never know. Or she would buy me clothes, because I've always had a weight problem, right? And she would buy me clothes at Christmas, and they would be like a size too small. And she'd say, "Oh, well, when you lose weight, you can wear them. You'll be able to wear them." And that was hard. And the thing is, like, all the women in my family, like 4'11" to 5'4", they're little bitty, petite, tiny, 120 pounds soaking wet women. And my brother and I got these genes from my dad's side of my aunt Jackie, who's like 6 foot and built like a brick shit house. Do you know what I'm saying? She's just a big girl. She's just a broad lady. And so my brother and I are built that same way. So I'm like a whole head taller than most of the women in my family, if not more than that. My grandmother was like 4'11" and 85 pounds. I mean, just little. So I don't even remember where I was going with that now. I just totally
Hearing your mother tell you, about your
Yes.
hair and
Yeah. And you can wear it and you can lose weight. So weight was never an issue for them, right? And it became an issue for me after I quit using, because we always trade. We're an addict.
yes,
Addiction runs rampant in our family, and it doesn't matter. The addiction doesn't matter. There's always an addiction. It's just, that's what's bred into me, right? And so when I quit the drugs, I gained the weight because I was eating all those feelings, right? And then because I was in an unhappy relationship, I ended up on Effexor and gained 60 pounds in a year from that stuff, and just eating and eating and eating and eating. And finally it got to the point where I would sit on the couch and we'd be watching TV, and I could feel like my neck roll. Like you could feel like the double neck thing going when you're sitting down.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd sit there and do this to like try to smooth it out, because it grossed me out to sit there and feel my neck roll, right? And so, and then I ended up going to the doctor, and he was like, "Look, we need to talk about diabetic medication because you're on the verge at this point." And I was like, "Oh no, I'm not doing it." And then 9 months later I went in, he was like, "I need to know what you're doing because I want to do it with you. I've never seen your numbers like this ever since I've known you." So that's the thing. But the mental health aspect of it, people don't realize, like, words hurt worse than, I would rather someone beat me than say things. And one of the things that Danny and I learned in our marriage is to walk away before you say things, because you can't take those things back, right? Once it's said, it's said, and you can't unhear that stuff. So whoever came up with sticks and stones, they're full of shit, right? Sorry for my bad mouth, but they are. That's like, I don't know who made that up to make somebody feel better, but that's not okay. We always hear it. So for every negative thought, you have to combat it with so many more positives. I have an I am board. I have 2 of them on my closet door. It says I am in the middle, and it has all these positive words of affirmation about myself. And I read that stuff every single day. And I have another quote on my closet that says, don't ask me which one it is. It's Psalm or proverb or something. I just remember the words. She is clothed in strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future. That's on my closet door. So those words of affirmation are huge, right? And so I totally went off on a tangent, and I didn't mean to do that, but go ahead.
That's okay.
I'll shut up now.
You know what? You actually made me think to myself, because I say, I still struggle sometimes. It's probably because I'm not saying my words of affirmation to myself every day. and I need to get up and just start saying it right away. I got it hanging on the mirror in the bathroom. Do I say it? No, because I don't think it's important.
Well, you know what?
Convince myself.
You know what? Send me a message in Messenger every day of you reading those to yourself. I'll hold you accountable for a bit till you get in a habit.
Yes, you will.
How about that? And I'll do it, and I'll do it back for you.
I need it.
And we can hold each other accountable. Yeah, for sure.
I know that that's so important, because I will tell you the stuff that men have said to me and the things that I believed, being so fat and you're so ugly. Or one of my other favorites I would hear from people is, you have such a pretty face. If you could just lose some weight, you would be gorgeous. Like, that was a compliment in there somewhere. Was there a compliment in there? Like, and I insult myself. You know what? I had 3 chins. Now I only got 1.5. That's what I used to tell myself.
1.5. Girl, you are beautiful.
It used to be 3. Now I only have 1.
Yeah.
And nice. So I want to rush to insult myself because I know you're going to do it anyway. So that's something I would do, and talk about self-loathing. So saying those things to myself, not realizing how they're affecting me, then I'll go eat. And then I feel miserable because I ate the junk, and then you'll go eat more junk. You're already miserable. You already ruined the day, not the meal. Yep. It's the whole day's ruined. So now binge.
Oh yeah. Let's eat everything in the house, and and you can feel that creeping up. My grandmother passed away in October, and she was, she was like my favorite person in the whole world. We were really, really close, and we had a really special relationship. And all the grandkids knew I was her favorite. All her children knew I was her favorite. We were just close. Like, she acted different around me than she did other people. And I saw through her BS, and I didn't play into it, right? And I'd totally call her out on it. And people are like, I can't believe you just said that to your grandmother. And I'm like, well, I don't play her games, right? But I can tell you that we just started this 30-day challenge, and since October 11th is when she passed, I've gained 15 pounds.
Oh, sweetie.
And I know exactly where that comes from, right? And I have to fight hard to keep the weight off of my stomach because I've had a tummy tuck and all that stuff, and I don't want to undo all of that, right?
Right.
So we started this challenge, and I know for a fact I'll have all that weight off I'll probably have most of it off in the next week, right? And that's okay. I know how to take it off now. It's not a roller coaster, but I could very easily find myself being 252 pounds again because I let my emotions take over. And you're right. It's not even like, it's like, okay, I'm going to wake up and do good today. And then I eat like one bad thing and I'm like, screw it. The whole day's done. Damn, that Dairy Queen commercial looked good. Let's go get a steak finger basket. Because I have the palate of a 6-year-old, right? So I want all the bad stuff.
I never heard it explained that way, but yeah, like the palate of a what?
The palate of a 6-year-old. I'm serious. When I started this whole journey, I ate 2 vegetables, and now I eat 6. Like, I'm serious. Yeah. It's the palate. My husband tells me all the time, you have the palate of a 6-year-old. Like, because I just don't have sometimes depending on what ketchup, if I eat too much ketchup, it'll burn my mouth. Like, I'm a real lightweight when it comes to that. So anyway, we've gotten we haven't gotten far off track because we're still talking about the emotional stuff and the mental aspect of it. But you guys, if you think you're alone out there in the world of emotional eating, no you are not, because it became my new addiction.
Yes,
to stuff down all the feelings. If I felt bad, just go eat a cookie and I'm
gonna tell you how confused I was. I was going to NA, I was going to AA, I was going to OA, Overeaters Anonymous, I had a sponsor for each program because I was like, okay, I need help with this, I need help with this, I need help with this. It took me a while to figure out, if you apply those principles to your life, and then, coming back with my relationship with the Lord and building that I can use that, to help me in my journey, because I have that addictive personality, like you said, and I can get addicted to anything. Anything. I
Mm-hmm.
quit smoking when I had 5 years clean. I had to wait till I had 5 years clean because I didn't want to start binging again and eat more food. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
I was a
this is
smoker,
what
and then I was
it's
a
what I did too.
vapor. And yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
They didn't
So,
have
so I
vaping when
wanted,
I got clean, girl. I'm old.
yeah, they didn't have. You're funny. That's funny. You're not that old. I'm 47, so you're not that much older than me.
I'm 60. I turned 60 in April.
Well, you're not that much older than me. I mean,
I
in the
remember
grand
my
scheme of
40s
things, you're
vaguely.
not. Vaguely.
I remember vaguely because it was so long ago. But yeah, and the stuff that I've been through, I'm gonna tell you, I really know that the Lord has used me to help other people with all of these trials I had in my life because I worked in domestic violence for several years. I worked at a domestic violence shelter and I was a therapist there. I worked in substance abuse. I was a therapist there. I worked in, I worked with married couples and I wasn't even married at the time and helping them through the relationship issues that they were having, because of the addiction, and I worked with kids and teenagers that had suicidal thoughts and I worked in that area. I worked with people with DUI in Pennsylvania. I helped design the program that DUI people had to go through in order to get their licenses back. So the Lord has used me in all those areas of all the stuff that I struggled with, to become a survivor. And so I wouldn't change a thing, to have gone through all that and be able to help other people and dealing with grieving the loss of my mother. Then later my father died, and then learning how not to have the anger and hatred towards him and being able to forgive, like just so much, so many areas that if I didn't have all of those trials and all those challenges in my life, I don't even know where I would be right now or what I would be doing, because
Well, it's
you
true.
have to help people. You have to help people. That's what we're here for.
It's true, and that's why we do this podcast. Is I want to hope. My hope is that somebody hears something, and
Mm-hmm.
and they and they pick up on it, and they're like, okay, yeah, I can do this. I'm gonna hit my feet are gonna hit the floor tomorrow, and I'm gonna be a survivor, and I'm not gonna
Mm-hmm.
feel sorry for myself, and I'm not gonna lay around all day, and I'm not gonna hide in my bedroom or I mean, there's so much, and it goes so deep for some people. Especially the
Yeah.
people that hide and binge. Especially the people with bulimia and oh my gosh, I can't say the word. Uh,
Anorexia.
Thank you. I don't. It just there it went. There's yeah.
It's all good.
I can't think of my words. Sometimes it happens, but there's so much. So I want to know, like, will you share, like, I know you've had 5 attempts. What
Mm-hmm.
what is what is the worst attempt? What was the like what was surrounded it? What pulled you
Wow, I forgot
through?
about this. Yeah. The
It's
day I
cool to
got
watch
clean.
people relive this stuff too. Like when you're sharing it,
Yeah.
it like triggers
Yeah.
memories and you're
Oh
like,
yeah. Oh
"Ooh,
yeah.
I just got
Absolutely.
something there." Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I will tell you, May 11th, 1989, that's my clean date. I was at a friend's house, and in her cabinet, she had a whole bunch of pills. I was miserable. I had maybe 30 days clean and relapsed, and then I had like 2 weeks clean and I relapsed. And so this was a relapse for me. I hadn't even gotten to 60 days, I don't think. And I was at her house. I knew she used, and the people, places, and things they tell you to change. I was still friends with her, and
Yeah, if you
I
can't
went
change your
in.
friends, change your friends.
Right? Lord knows I need to get away from this girl, and the Lord made sure later on down the road that I did. And that's another whole story. But so that night, I'm at her house. We're all going to go out. I didn't want to wait for anybody. I have always taken speed and uppers. I didn't like marijuana, didn't like cocaine. I felt like it brought me down. So I'm looking in her cabinet. What she got? What she got? I don't know. I'm taking one of everything in the bottle. Oh, you froze on me. Okay, you didn't freeze. Okay, I thought you froze. So I'm taking one of everything that she had in the cabinet, and I'm drinking some alcohol. Didn't feel an effect yet, and so I drive off to the bar. And it was like a nightclub bar. I used to DJ there, and I'm sitting at the bar, and I feel everything starting to hit me. So I'm getting dizzy, I'm a little wonky, and I'm talking to myself at the bar. And I'm just like, I hate my life. This all sucks. And blah, 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 blah. I don't really want to be here anymore. And blah, 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 blah. Give me another one, you know? And the guy gave me one, but after a while, he was kind of like, yeah, Jamie, I think you're done. And I'm like, you ain't gonna give me some more? Me? You gonna stop me? Do you know who I am? You know, because I worked, I DJ'd there, you know, and one of those, right? And fine, I'm leaving. And I started to leave, and there was this total stranger. This is God's woman that he sent, and I really wish to this day I knew who she was. She came outside. Oh, you can't go. This little tiny, I don't know, maybe 100 pounds soaking wet, little blonde haired lady, and she comes out. Oh, you can't go. You're too drunk. You should wait, or I'll give you a ride where you need to go. I'm like, this big old woman, and this little, you know, back off, chick. Back off, chick. So I get in my car, and I'm trying to leave this parking lot, and someone inside called 911. And she's trying to delay me till they get there. And I didn't know any of this at the time. And so I'm trying to leave the parking lot. She's in front of my car doing a little dodge thing, like, don't leave, you know. And I'm like, girl, I will run you over right now. She jumps on the hood of my car, puts her fingers in front of that little windshield crevice there, and she's hanging on. And she's
oh
like,
my
you
gosh.
can't leave at my windshield. You can't leave. And I was like, watch me. Swerving the car from left to right, her little tiny body swerving on the hood of my car, back and forth. And finally she flings off, and I see her go in there, and I look in my rearview mirror, and I see lights and sirens. And I'm like, I got to get the heck out of here. She's still alive. She's fine. And I drive out. And I'm on this dark road, and it's a back road to get to this nightclub. And so I know the town pretty well. And I watched a lot of high-speed chases in movies and TV shows. And I remember thinking to myself, I used to always think, why does it nobody slams on the brakes when the cops are chasing them? That's what I'm going to do, you know? So I had a cop car behind me, almost on my bumper. I had one right next to me. I didn't want them to look at me like they didn't know who I was. I'm sure they got the license plate by now, right? So I'm driving. And something just said, I'm going to put my turn signal on because I didn't want to get a ticket. That's where your thinking goes, right?
Stop it.
I know what I'm going.
Stop
so I didn't want to get tickets. I put my right turn signal on, slam on my brakes, and the car behind me swerves over not to hit me. And the cop next to me is going still because he didn't know I was going to brake. He didn't see my turn signal. And so I turned onto somebody's grass
That's
lawn.
the name of this podcast. He didn't see my turn signal. That's the name of this podcast, just so you know. He didn't see my turn signal. Shit.
I got on
That's
the grass
awesome.
of somebody's house, drove through their backyard. This is a movie, I'm telling you. Their lawn was their laundry was hanging on the ropes outside, because that's what people did back in the 90s. And I drove through the laundry line, and the clothesline popped down, so it was blocking and obstructing me. So I didn't know where I was going, but I'm in this person's backyard.
Oh, you went blank. I can't see you.
Get off my car.
Hey, Jamie, can you hear me?
Back yet?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you and I can see you.
But yes. I can't see you.
You can't see me?
I can't see you.
Uh-oh.
What's happening?
I'm still here.
Your picture's blank.
Uh-oh.
I don't know what's happening.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, keep telling the story. I can hear you.
Okay.
Keep going.
So I drive up on the lawn, I go through the clothesline, and I'm swerving left to right to get this laundry off my car and the clothesline off my car so I could see again. I managed to lose the police. Not that that's a tip for anybody. I drove to a friend's house because they were at the bar. And I thought, well, no one's home at their place. I'll just go there. So I parked in their parking lot. And their neighbor that lived downstairs, I also knew him. I knocked on his door. It was probably like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, dude, just let me in. I'm waiting for them to get home upstairs. You know, I acted stupid. And he was like, okay. So that was, you know, how. But my friends at the bar, they gave up. They were riding around town looking for me because they're like, where'd Jamie go? And so they gave up and went home. When they got home, they saw my car in their parking lot, called the police. The police came there and got me. And that's how I got to jail and into rehab.
Wow.
Snitches. But they saved my life. They saved my life. And I hated them so badly. I was spitting at them when the cops were taking me down the steps. You bastards, you know. I'm screaming and yelling at them and spitting at them. And they're like, we're here to save your life. At least you'll be alive to hate me. I'm like, who says that?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that was my last day using. So I will always remember that.
Yeah, I bet that is unforgettable. And one of the things that I remember you saying is you can't help somebody that is there in that, the only thing that can save them is God,
Yeah.
And you always have the what ifs. If I'd have said this, or if I'd have done that, or if I'd have been there, I would have done this, And there's so many people that they do lose loved ones to suicide and they blame themselves, Our trainer at a place called Massive Action Training, one of the first gyms I ever joined as like a real gym, not like a Crunch Fitness or something like that, but like the real deal stuff. Like I got up at 5:15 in the morning to be in class at 5:30 with these people because it was the best place and time to laugh my ass off every morning at 5:30 a.m. with these people, right? And TJ Camara was our trainer, and he was probably one of the greatest men I've ever met in my life. Just kind and sweet. He was from Senegal, Africa. He had the prettiest accent. He was probably one of the prettiest men I've ever seen. I mean, he was pretty, And I would come home and tell my husband, like, dude, this, like, he was working out today, and I had a hard time not watching him, right? Because dang. And so he was walking by me one day, and I was like, hey, TJ, did you see that? Like, I just totally deadlifted, a new weight or something. And he was real into his phone, and he just looked at me and he was like, oh, yeah, good job, and fist bumped me. And and I should have, looking back, like I should have known in that moment, like that's not him. Like, and I just thought maybe he's just real busy with a new client. Something's happening on his phone or whatever. And it turned out that his wife had cheated on him, and the next morning he committed suicide. He killed himself, and we were just in shock because none of us knew. Like, none of us knew he was even struggling. And that's the thing. It's like you pray for the people that cry out for help, right? The people that call and tell you something, that they've done something, right? You pray for those people to call out for help, but it's the ones you never see coming that never ask for help because they just don't see any other way out of it. And that was the closest thing I've ever had to losing someone to suicide. And the crazy thing was I had posted about it, and like, this is my experience, my story, right? And what happened. And when I posted that he committed suicide, everybody was like, how could you say that? Why would you say that? You need to take that off your Facebook. And I'm like, why is it a secret? I mean, there and things are so elusive, right? It's all about appearances, right? Especially where I live, in the town that we live in, is so many appearances. But like when someone dies in an obituary, like in the obituary, they if it was a drunk driving accident or if it was a tragic accident, it's just they don't say how, right? And I think that if there were more people that spoke about how someone died and why someone died, there might be more awareness, right? But it's so hidden still because there's shame to the family that comes along with that, right? And everybody needs to quit being ashamed, and people need to start talking about this.
That makes no sense. Like, there you go again. That selfishness comes right back again. Why am I ashamed because someone I know or that I love committed suicide? Why am I ashamed?
Why can't we talk about it?
Yes, and there needs to be no shame. There needs to be discussion,
Yes.
And so for someone to say, why'd you put that on your wall? For awareness, fool. Why else? Like, it makes no sense to me why we cannot talk about that. Like, I understand.
Well, the family was ashamed, so the family saw it because my profile's public and I tagged him in it. So the family saw it and they were ashamed. And I'm like, you know what? If your loved one or someone is killed in a drunk driving accident and they died because of that, that should give you an opportunity to have a discussion with people, right? Why do we hide this stuff so much? If we talked about it more and it wasn't swept under the rug, maybe we would have a different mental health standard.
I mean, and I can understand maybe they just weren't ready yet, but I will tell you, and this is something that I know a lot of people may not agree with, and I'm okay with that, but everybody's allowed to have their opinion. When
Right.
people always say God is good, and then the response back is all the time, like that means even in the bad times, like to say God
Yes.
is good because I got a check or a blessing or this worked out. Yeah. But when there's struggle, God is still good because, okay, I will look at that man's suicide because that's a conversation that you and I are having right now. And how many other conversations came because of that? Like how many people may have felt like, okay, I can't talk about this, but now we can because of that person's suicide. God is good all the time. We don't know why God allows some things to happen. To sit and say, oh, I wish I could have said something or done something. I should have known. I should have. God didn't want you to. That's why it happened. He's the one that's in control. He's sovereign. Whatever he says is, and that's all there is to it. Sorry about my dog barking in the background. But it's
I never
all about
even thought
God's
about it
sovereignty.
that way.
It has nothing to do with us. We can't stop it because we're not supposed to. You don't know the purpose for what God is doing. You don't know where this is going. People don't know why I had to have suicide attempts. I evidently had to have them so I could sit here and talk about them with you and thousands of other people throughout my life. When I had a client come into my office and they were talking about feeling suicidal, I said, yeah, I understand. No, you don't. Yes, I do. Tried it 4 times already. What? Yeah. Uh-huh. And so we don't know. God's sovereignty is because he's the one that's in control. And if you don't have a God or believe in the God that has sovereignty, then you're serving the wrong one. That we don't know what his purpose is for. So how can we sit and say I shoulda, woulda, coulda, shoulda? That's just saying, oh, God messed up. No, he didn't. He knew what he was doing.
Oh my God. That just that hit me like a freight train. Like you just gave me something that took something off my shoulders that you have no idea because I wasn't supposed to.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had a boyfriend commit suicide on New Year's Day. So yeah, the holidays struggle with me. I struggle with them a little bit. We were out partying with friends New Year's Eve, and I was still using then. And New Year's morning, I got a phone call that Sean killed himself. He took his life. He put a shotgun underneath his chin and blew his head off in his parents' home for them to wake up to New Year's Day. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. I should have known. I should have realized that he was going to do that in the morning. How would I know? He didn't want anybody to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Took how many years to figure that out? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't supposed to. You weren't supposed to. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, you've survived so much, and the fact that you have the attitude now that you have. I mean, this doesn't happen overnight, right? You have to train yourself. You have to tell yourself these good things. You have to work hard at it. It is, and I'm going to say this, and this may not be a popular opinion, but this is my podcast, so whatever. It takes, how was I going to say this? It's a lot easier to be depressed. It's a lot easier to be depressed. It's a lot easier to be depressed than being happy and working on yourself. It's a cop out. Oh, my I've had people tell me, "Oh, my depression's got me down." That's because you're letting it. No, you don't understand. No, I do understand because I've been there, but you got to put some feet on the floor and you got to get up and you got to take your medicine and you can't stop taking it because you feel better that day. Like you have to stay the course, I mean, mental health is crazy in our family too. But that's the thing. It is easier to just say, oh, I'm depressed and not have to deal with anything or your feelings or the world, it's work to be happy.
Yep.
Happiness doesn't just come, I mean, unless you're a trust fund baby, and money doesn't, and money doesn't make you happy either, but money makes things easier sometimes, right?
Oh, yeah.
Money just makes things a little bit easier. It doesn't make you happy. But I don't know. There's just
between happiness and true joy. I can
sure.
buy a new pair of shoes and be happy, but that's not true joy. I'm getting that from my soul. I'm getting that from Jesus.
Yeah, yeah. And, I never had a close relationship with him. And in the last few years, well, I had my whole God moment. If you get a chance, watch my podcast titled My God Moment, and then a lot of things will click. But there's a girl that I went to the gym with, and we got really close. And we have a part of a ministry called Luke 17:10. And we actually minister to the kids at the Smith County Juvenile Detention Center. And we go every Wednesday night, and we feed them. And while they're chewing their mouths, with their mouths full of food, we fill their soul with some Jesus, right? And I've learned more about the Bible in the last year doing this with her than anything, because she's so animated, and she's probably one of the most beautiful people in the world ever. But she's been through a lot too, and she's a recovering addict. And what she went through and what I went through, we have the ability to talk to these kids, and the hope is that we can change something. We say something that changes it, right? And there was this one kid in there, and he was like, "Oh no, you wouldn't get it. You wouldn't get it." And I was like, "No, try me, tell me, And he's like, "No, you don't understand my code." And I was like, "Try me." And he's like, no. And I just stepped up to him, and I said, "You know what, baby?" And he's probably 16, 17 years old. I said, "You know what, baby?" And he said, "What?" I said, "The only difference between me and you is that you got caught and I didn't." That's the only difference. I was like, and everybody tells me you shouldn't say these things on a public forum. But I mean, I don't know how I could ever get in trouble now. But, I should have been in federal prison for the amount of drugs I ran between here and another town. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't get caught, and I didn't get caught for a reason, because maybe that's what I was supposed to go through. So I have that experience, so I can come back here and tell you these things. And the hope is that maybe one of these kids will shape up their life, and maybe they'll come back one day and talk to these kids. You know what I'm saying? Talk to the kids that are in there. So it comes full circle. Everything that, and one thing that I live by is everything you do, just what you were talking about with your mom and not realizing it affected your mom. And this is what I learned in my God moment. Everything you do affects everyone around you in one way or another. Period.
Yep.
Everything. And that's what I try to teach my kids. You're not the only one that suffers consequences when you make a mistake.
That's right.
Other people do too. So, well, listen, man, you're awesome. I'm so glad we've become friends. I just want to know more about you and more about your story. And I hope we can keep in touch.
What you asked for, girl, is a lot.
Oh, listen, you don't even know. We're like 18 episodes in this podcast. You might start at 1, sister. It's been some rough stuff. I don't even know how I'm sane, but I am by the grace of God. And I'm just, God puts people in people's lives for a reason. And some people are meant to stay forever. And some people are just stepping stones. And some people are people that are here for a little bit longer, just to teach you something in a season. Right. And that's the hardest thing for me, because I'm such a loyal person that once I'm friends with you, we're going to be friends forever. You'll have a real hard time getting rid of me, Jamie. I think my boyfriend from 3rd grade, we should still be friends. Do you know what I'm saying?
I'm going to tell you total honesty. Okay, this is me being revealing, or whatever the word is. One of the men that I was engaged to, that I was abused by in my relationship, domestic violence, is a friend of mine on Facebook, because he's in recovery now.
I get it. No, I get it. I totally get it. I get it. It's just, there's a sense of loyalty that once you care about someone, you don't know how to uncare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's
And I
doing
think
good,
that's,
so good for him.
and I think that's a unique quality that God gave us, Jamie,
Mm-hmm.
because not everybody has that quality,
No,
you
not at
know?
all. Not at
So,
all. This
well,
was fun, though. I had a blast.
I know this was fun. It was so fun. I can't wait. Maybe we can figure out something else to talk about and come back on and do it again at another time.
Okay.
Or you'll have to figure out how to get me on your podcast or whatever.
Oh,
Tell me yours.
absolutely.
Tell me yours so everybody we can shout it out.
Oh, blessed champion.
Oh, I like that. Blessed champion.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Just
Awesome. Well,
because
you
I
guys,
feel like, I've been very, very blessed and I'm champion through, girl.
amen, you are. Amen, you are. Well, listen, you guys go check out Blessed Champion and give Jamie some love and some support. Listen, if you love this, share it away. Please, please, please like, share, subscribe, the whole 9 yards. Oh gosh, and I'm supposed to say this every time, and I don't know why, but I figured everybody figures this out by now. But you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, all of it. It's there. YouTube, it's all there. So, any closing thoughts, Miss Jamie?
Just to know that God, you know what, Jesus loves you. Everything you're going through is a reason. There's a purpose. You have a purpose, and you need to get close to Him to find out what that is.
Amen. Amen. Well, I love you already. We're new BFFs. Don't forget to message me tomorrow with your affirmations. I'll be waiting on that.
Yes, ma'am.
Better put a reminder in your phone, sister. Because listen,
will.
I'll send you a message, be like, "Where you at, yo?" You know. And then you're gonna be like call Rosie, and you're gonna be like, "Dude, why did you tell this girl about me?"
I need it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the smiles. Thanks for the laughs. Thank you for the stories and sharing your heart. And I can only hope that it helps someone else become a survivor of everything they've been through as well. So, Thank you guys for listening. Peace out, homies.